seen some contracts that's low as $1,800 a week. Like, what? Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, The Document. My name is Dominique if this is your first time here. And in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we are talking about internal travel nursing. So before we get started, I did make a video about my 1-year travel nurse experience. And if you all have not seen that video, I will link it up in the cards. I will link it down below. But go ahead and go watch that video because I do go into full detail about my travel nursing experience as a new travel nurse, and I also touch a little bit on my background and history as a nurse. So stop what you're doing, go watch that video, and then come back and watch this video, because the purpose of today's video is kind of because I had so many issues as an actual travel nurse. I decided to come on here and talk about internal travel nursing just because I literally just finished a 12-week internal travel nurse contract. So I have a little bit of background. I have a little bit of the gag about what's going on with the internal travel nursing world, okay? So how did I find out about internal travel nursing? So you all know that I experienced some challenges as a new travel nurse, and I was having difficulty finding assignments that were paying fair. Like, if you're a travel nurse right now, like, the money seems fairly scarce. Like, the math is not mathing with these travel nurse contracts. And let me tell you, if you're not out here doing strikes or none of that, then baby, budgeting is your friend. That's what it seemed like. They trying to starve us out. I done seen some contracts that's low as $1,800 a week. Like, what? But no, in all seriousness, like, I've talked to many travelers on my floor, and most of the contracts that are being offered are not just, they ain't making no sense. So what did I decide to do? I decided to take on an internal travel contract. Let's just see what it is, what it's like, things of that nature. So what exactly is internal travel nursing? So internal travel nursing is, you're basically a travel nurse that is staffed by a hospital but making more than the staff nurses, in a sense. Internal travel nurse contracts are fairly new, and from my research I have learned that Georgia and Pennsylvania were actually the first two states to initiate internal travel nurse contracts. Like, during the height of COVID, they decided they wanted to do internal travel nurse contracts, and that's kind of how other hospitals picked up on the internal travel nurse contract wave. So how much are these internal travel nurses making? So I've seen contracts that have been as low as $75 an hour and above. And sometimes you can get shift differentials if the hospital pays shift differentials. Sometimes a differential, you may be getting an extra $5 for nights, or extra $10 for weekends, or however the hospital decides to pay for their shift differentials. You may get that on top of your hourly rate, which is fairly decent, you know, because coming from a staff nurse, you may be making $24, maybe $32 an hour, maybe even $40 an hour if you seasonal or whatnot. But ain't no staff nurse out here making those $75 an hour. I mean, you might be if you grandfathered in or something, but I don't really know no staff nurse that's making those $75 an hour on top of shift differentials, on top of getting health benefits, and etc., etc. It's just not happening. So what have hospitals decided to do? Hospitals have decided that, hey, we no longer want to give all the external travel nurses the benefits of coming to staff our hospital. Let's try to keep our current staff by giving them the option to go internal travel and make a little bit more money. So who can work internal travel nurse positions? Obviously, if you're a new grad, this is not something that you are able to do because you have not developed the critical thinking skills as a nurse yet. But if you are a nurse that has 2 years plus experience within a specialty, you are more than welcome to become an internal travel nurse at a facility. Now, 1 to 2 plus years in a specialty is recommended because you will not have as much training as you would if you were a new nurse to a unit, which is maybe 4 to 8 weeks of training. You will more than likely have 12 to 48 hours of training on a unit if you are looking into becoming an internal travel nurse, or maybe even less, because some travel nurses, they only get 8 hours of training realistically. So the purpose of the internal travel nurse position is to get nurses in there quick, so they don't have to train you as they would if you were a new nurse to the floor, because obviously that takes time and they probably short staffed. They need you on the unit ASAP, okay? So let's go over a little bit of the pros and cons of internal travel nursing. So one pro I think is job security. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I had issues securing my first contract as a travel nurse, and I recently just completed a internal travel nurse contract, and the position came faster than it would have if I would apply externally. And I say that because it took the facility all of 2 days to review my application after applying and set me up for an interview. As would an external travel nurse position, it kind of varies. If your recruiter has a bunch of nurses that they're working with, they may have not heard back from a facility. They're not checking with that facility to see where you are in the process of being hired, or if the position has closed and things like that. It took fairly longer to secure a external travel nurse position versus an internal travel nurse position. So I would say job security is a pro for me. And I also would piggyback on that. Jobs are becoming fairly harder to find just because of how the rates have been. Like, a lot of people are leaving travel nursing just because some of the money that they have been offered is just not worth it to travel in other states. So internal travel nursing may be a form of job security for some people who are looking to make a little bit more money but also remain locally. That brings me to my next point, which is location. You don't have to travel out of state. If you want to be an internal travel nurse within your city or your area, location is another thing. Like, you don't have to leave your home. You can stay within the vicinity of your home and travel to the hospital or work at the hospital that is closest to you, because you don't have to worry about you meeting the IRS tax code or making sure that you're duplicating your expenses because you're not getting that tax-free money. So location is another big thing. You don't have to leave home. So another thing that I would state is a pro is benefits. So some facilities may offer you benefits, if any. Some facilities may not offer you benefits, but if they do, you may be able to keep your health insurance. You may be able to contribute to your 401k, your 403b, or you may be able to just get discounts at local gyms and things like that. To me, I see that as a perk, but I do know that some facilities will not offer you health benefits just because you're being paid at a higher hourly rate. So this is kind of a pro and a con. So the pro and the con for me is the fixed hourly rate. You will not be able to, or you may not be able to, negotiate your pay because the hospital has already stated this is what we are paying up front. And I'll talk about this a little bit later, but throughout my job search, when I looked at internal travel nurse contracts, the hourly pay is on the job search website. So baby, you already know what you're going to be making before you even apply. So to me, that already states there's no room for negotiation here when they tell you that how much you're gonna be making before you actually start, there's no room for negotiation. So I kind of see that as a pro and a con, because I mean, you know what you get yourself into, but at the same time, you kind of wish you were making a little bit more money, or you were able to negotiate your pay as if you were an external traveler. Because I know external travelers, like, to me, I'm trying to negotiate a higher rate. Oh, you want me to extend? Oh, how much more money you giving? That's why it can be a pro and a con. Oh, you want me to float? How much extra are you giving? That's what I want to know. And external travelers, if you're an external traveler, you really should be doing that. If you continuously extend at a hospital, you need to be asking, how much extra are they paying? They want me to stay and work on the same unit? Are they giving me more money for renewing? Y'all need to be asking those questions if you are not asking those questions, okay? Just a little tip there. But yes, definitely fixed hourly pay is definitely a pro and a con. So another con I would say is you not being able to get the tax-free stipends. Now, we all know that travel nurses make the bulk of their money on those tax-free stipends, because they get to do whatever they want to do with that money. They can pick housing as low or as high as they want. So you're kind of not getting the full freedom as you would as an external travel nurse with the money that you make. I mean, you may have to be a little bit more budget friendly just because you're an internal travel nurse and you will not be making as much money. But I would say not getting those tax-free stipends is a con, because the tax-free stipends is what generates most of the income or money pocketed for travel nurses. So with all that information, I already know you want to know, like, where can you find these jobs? Girl, how do I sign up? This and that. So to get into internal travel nursing, just go on a local hospital's website that you are interested in. Of course, do your research about the hospital in which you want to work. But some keywords to search up are internal travel nursing, temporary RN, maybe travel register nurse, or temporary resource nurse. Those are like the 4 main keywords that I've put in and have found internal travel jobs with. I feel like the burning question is, how does internal travel nursing affect current travel nurses? And I personally don't believe that it does. If you want to do internal travel nursing, do internal travel nursing. If you want to do external travel nursing, do external travel nursing. Travel nursing is travel nursing. It has been around for so long. I personally don't see this one new phase of travel nursing taking over every little thing. Just because the money is not fair right now, or the money is not as high as it was during COVID, that does not mean that travel nursing does not still offer great benefits, great leverage for your career, or any of that stuff. The simple answer is, it does not. Internal travel nursing does not affect current travel nursing. But yeah, so far, I like it. I definitely appreciate the pros more than the cons, just because I'm going through like a life change right now, and I need the stability of a job. I need the stability of being local. So I'm just kind of okay with the internal travel nurse position, and I feel like a lot of other people are. That pretty much concludes this video. I hope you found this video entertaining, inspiring, and hopefully helpful. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you all in my next freaking upload.
My ain't just changed. It just was the wrong day. Thank God you